Hi there, it's David for concertblogger.com, and I'm here with the guys from Hawthorne Heights. We have...
I'm Mark.
I'm Matt.
I'm Micah.
I'm Aaron.
I'm JT.
And here we are. Let's start with a little history of the band. You're all from Dayton, Ohio? Is that true?
Not all originally.
Okay. How did you get together?
Playing in the Dayton scene, more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
The Dayton scene is relatively small.
A lot of rental halls, stuff like that, not a lot of big concert venues. I actually moved from St. Mary's, West Virginia with one of my friends who got a job around Dayton, and I wasn't doing anything, and I wanted to be closer to a music scene that had multiple bands, not just two. So,
You want to move to a big city.
yeah, and it was the big city for me. It really was.
Awesome, cool. How did you guys get together?
Just kind of playing around in different bands and going to shows and stuff like that. We were all at one time in different bands, and just kind of.
The scene is so small in Dayton that you quickly figure out who's a competent musician and who has like-minded goals. So we sort of all filter together under that pretense.
Cool, makes sense. Now the name Hawthorne Heights comes from Nathaniel Hawthorne? Is that what I'd read somewhere?
False.
You might have.
False, I read that, so
read
that's
it.
why I wanted to ask.
You read it, and that's complete BS. It's something that I put out there in order to get signed, make us sound like we're a little bit deeper than we were. It's completely fabricated.
Okay.
It's
We
just
do
something
like
that
Nathaniel Hawthorne, though.
it's just something that Matt came up with, and we liked the name. We didn't feel like it pigeonholed us under any one particular
Type of
type
music.
of genre, and gave us some creative freedom there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That was my next question. Are you readers, and what's your favorite author, and kind of that.
An honest answer. Right there. Well done, Aaron.
Really well done. So you were brought up in musical households, or was music something that you kind of found on your own? Were you surrounded by music? I know you said you moved to Dayton in order to get in the music scene, but when your parents play music around the house or anything of that nature?
For me, nothing whatsoever other than the two records that I remember growing up with were Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, and Elvis, 20 #1 hits. Those are the only two records I remember ever being played. When we were driving in my parents' car and stuff, it was never even really crank the radio up or anything like that. So I don't feel like that influenced me whatsoever. My parents were not musical.
My parents were constantly playing music. Yeah, every time we got in the car, they were cranking up the oldie station. I would go through all their old LPs and I'd play them on my little Fisher-Price record player all the time, and eventually I would get my own records. Michael Jackson, Thriller was my first actual record that my parents got for me.
That's a good first record.
Lionel
Yeah.
Richie, Aaron, talk about
I
Lionel Richie.
only had Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling on cassette. I didn't have that.
There's an old home video of him actually dancing on the ceiling.
If my parents had a video camera, there absolutely would be video of me dancing around in that rhinestone-studded Michael Jackson glove when I'm 4 years old or something.
Too, don't worry.
But my parents never played any instruments, but they were very adamant about me learning an instrument. And they threw me in piano lessons when I was around 10 years old, or maybe even a little earlier, but I absolutely hated it. And at one point I mentioned to my parents that I wanted to play the drums, and freshman year of high school, I came downstairs at Christmas and there was a drum set for me, and I was hooked ever since.
Awesome.
Actually, my house was very musical. My parents both played. My grandparents all played music too. Both my grandfathers were drummers in big bands in the 20s
Really?
and 30s, and yeah, I just always kind of became very natural and innate to me, and it was always very supportive in my house as well.
My dad listened to Hall & Oates and Phil Collins. That's about as far as it went.
Hey, Phil Collins, a heck of a drummer.
But I got into band and picked up trumpet, and they were just always supporting music and me doing music, and then figured out that the kid with weird hair was into punk, and then there it is. That's about it. Mark?
Nobody in my family is really musical at all, but the radio is always on. That's all I got.
They had a radio.
makes them very musical. So you guys have been together since 2001. You've just released your 5th full-length record to go along with your soon-to-be-completed EP trilogy. I guess you guys started your own label and to release your EPs. You've had numerous gold records and #1 songs. You play all over the world to millions of people. Is it difficult not to rest on your huge stack of accomplishments when it comes to like making new stuff, making new music?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, everything's fleeting. You know, 1 minute you have 1 million people, the next minute you have 5, because everything is always so fluid. There's new bands coming out with, you know, hotter songs every single day. So really, you have the past and the future to rest on. You know, but you got to constantly keep moving. And we all write songs, so it's not really just one of us that has to. Hey guys, we need an album. I'll call you in 2 years. You know, it's like, so we are constantly working on things, and to us, I think it's a little bit easier because of that.
With new songs and new goals and everything. I mean, every album has a new set of goals, and you kind of start over a bit.
Start fresh from the beginning. Every album is a whole new fresh start.
And since everything constantly changes in the music industry, the bands cannot worry about success whatsoever. You know, because you have no idea what, even from album to album, you have no idea what measures success anymore. It has nothing to do with like record sales. Now it might be streams. It might be how many times your song.
How many hits you get on YouTube or,
exactly,
or
like
whatever.
So we can't really control that. You can control what kind of music you're playing, what songs you're writing, and just getting out on the road and touring. That's about all we can do.
Awesome. So you've just released your new album, Zero, on June 25th. It's a totally different album than anything you've done in the past. Can you tell me about it a little bit?
Yeah, it's more of a concept record than just a regular standalone record. Although I do feel that you can play it as a standalone record and not be lost or anything like that. You know, the songs do just sound like songs. There's just a little bit of a storyline that kind of goes in between that, along with the album artwork. And it was a little bit different, you know, for us creating it, and it was a lot of fun. You know, it's our fifth album, so to do something a little bit different, I think, has kept us refreshed, made the studio sessions not so mundane, and it's been inspiring to do something totally different.
Is there a single off the album that's going to be out first, or is it more of a?
Yep, the single was "Golden Parachutes." We all like the song. You know, it's kind of tough to pick a single.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's the follow-up question was: is it difficult to choose?
Awesome songs. It's tough to pick a single. That's what he's trying to say.
But when you have no idea like what works, whether because you know, music videos are not music videos anymore.
But we little mini movies.
Yeah. We shot one, which is always cooler for bands than it is probably for anybody else. But really big these days, lyric videos.
Yes, I've seen that. I've seen
little
that.
Tiny animated pictures with the lyrics popping on the screen and stuff like that. So.
When I was a kid, it was the album. You know, you'd buy an album. You wouldn't buy a cassette. You'd buy an album, and you'd open it up, and there would be all the lyrics and stuff. That was your old school music video, I guess. Yeah. It was all in your head.
Now you're lucky if somebody can even hold something in their hand.
Yeah, exactly, because everything is a digital download or whatever.
They actually own an object.
Yeah, maybe a T-shirt or something like that to go along when they come to the show. Speaking of the shows, you're in the middle of the Vans Warped Tour this year. Mm-hmm. Are you excited about that? And are there any good stories yet from the tour, or any good times? Any specific shows? Any specific sets that you've had that have?
Well, I think that one of the best things about Warped Tour is, first of all, we're very excited about it. You know, we haven't been on it in years, and it's that all the crowds are there, no matter what. You know, most people know that you have to get there early and stay till the end, and they welcome that. They're like, you know, and they, by the time they leave, they look like zombies. They're all sunburnt. They look so tired because they've been listening to bands all day, running around to merch tables, like, you know, singing, dancing, doing everything. And that's one of the most fun things, is to look out and see, like, you know, 10, 15 years ago, that was me doing that, and now we get to see these kids doing the exact same thing, and except, you know, we're on the stage instead this time around. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Being on the road with so many bands, do you check any of the other bands out
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That's one of the best things about Warped Tour.
Any favorite bands recently? Anybody else that's really in your head a little bit, other than yourself?
There's a band that's on our stage called, or I shouldn't say band, it's an artist called Jen Wigmore, and she's totally unlike any other artist on the tour. Kind of like, how would you describe her? Like Adele.
But the music sounds like almost like Black Keys. And
yeah, it's just real soulful.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. It's totally unlike the breakdowns and the pop.
It's pretty diverse this year, you know, like when we did it before, I don't remember an artist that could have sounded like that, or maybe just they didn't have one, but like a band that I've been watching a lot is called Stick to Your Guns, and they've kind of got me a little bit back more into like hardcore music that kind of some of us grew up listening to. They're a great example. They don't try to play fake metal or anything like that. They sound like a hardcore band.
They're
genuine. Like when we grew up listening to a band like Earth Crisis or Snapcase or something like that, they remind me more of something like that I haven't seen in our music scene in years. It's been a breath of fresh air because, you know, as you get older, you wane a little bit on heavier music, and that is very nostalgic to me. Even though they're guys like around our age group, but they just do it so well, and you just believe them when they do it. And they're good dudes, but it's a lot of fun to watch.
There are a lot of bands on the tour this year that I feel put a lot more emphasis on their image and less on the content of their music. And whereas a band like Stick to Your Guns it's more about the message than anything else.
It sounds like you're just calling them ugly.
No,
Whereas a band like Stick to Your Guns.
They're not ugly guys. I swear. And if I said so, they'd kill me.
They're like wear a t-shirt and
Literally
play a show, which is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Cool. Now you've had a notoriously difficult time with the legal end of the music business. Different issues with record labels and such. Has that lessened your passion for the entertainment industry, or has it made you even more determined to forge ahead?
It's less than my passion.
It's not less than my passion at all, because I don't care. I honestly don't, I didn't become this band to know what lawyers talk about or to know how to read a record contract, so it hasn't lessened my ability to write a song or to want to play to somebody.
It hasn't lessened my ability to write. It just pisses me off with the whole damn business side of it.
The business end of things,
it's disgusting.
Yeah, the business end of things absolutely sucks. And sometimes it can get you down, but I've always believed in our ability to write good songs that connect with fans. We obviously have a pretty substantial fan base, despite the fact that there were 4 or 5 years there where we were pretty much out of the public eye because we had absolutely no label promotion, and everything we were doing on our own. But despite all that, I think it's, at least for me, it's made me more driven, and I want to sort of prove to everybody that we still have it. We can still put out good music that people want to hear, and the only reason that we sort of fell off there publicly was because of things and circumstances that were completely out of our control.
Cool. That's kind of what I thought. Something along that line was going to be your answer.
But we're not passionate about the legal system.
We don't.
Or our
not fans of that. Not fans of that.
Yeah, you can't let that stifle your creativity, because that's stuff that you can only control this much. The music, we can all get together and write songs, and we don't talk about that stuff. To be honest with you, we don't sit here and wonder what is going to happen or what could have happened or what we could have done differently, because that's not why we started a band. That's not why I learned to play guitar or anything like that. I didn't even know that stuff existed. And if we didn't go through it, I still wouldn't know it existed.
Okay, great. Now my last question is, what is something not so well known about you that fans would be surprised by?
For me, I would say I'm left-handed, but I play guitar right-handed, and everybody always finds that weird. Like when I'll sign something or they'll see me writing, they'll be like, a little bit freaked out about it. But
tell them how you eat pizza, JT.
this is a good one.
That's
I eat all the toppings first
With a fork.
and then I fold the crust and eat it that way.
The weirdest.
But I guess collectively, We're a very tall band. Every time people they see us on stage, and just a lot of bands are short, so you can't really tell because you're always looking up anyway. But when we do like a meet and greet or something like that, like you see everybody will be like looking up because we're all over 6 foot tall.
Not me.
Except for one.
What are you, 5'11" and a half?
5'11".
Yeah.
But anyway,
3'11" there.
so we're all really tall, and and we see it too because we see all the bands backstage and stuff. Like a lot of
Little guy.
bands
Little
are
guys.
just little guys.
I remember I met Ronnie James Dio back in the
He's
day,
the littlest
and
Dio.
I had to go put my hand down. I was
Yeah.
like, "Hi, Mr. Dio, how are you?" It was really funny.
We toured a lot with Fall Out Boy, and they're all the opposite. They're all like really
Oh, like
little
5
guys, and
foot
we
tall
just
guys,
felt
yeah.
like giants next to them.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. And for everyone watching, make sure to catch Hawthorne Heights on the band's Warped Tour and pick up your copy of the great new album Zero at your local music store or online at iTunes.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.